The most important thing I learned from Michael Brecker is this: the timing is in your fingers. This text is from Michael Brecker's practice book. So your fingers are responsible for the overall timing. Do you happen to catch yourself being sloppy with the timing? Not getting to the target note you want to hit? Or lagging just a bit behind or being in front of the beat? When you realize that your fingers are responsible for your timing and you start incorporate this into your practice, you will get so much better in everything you play. And I mean everything. It just becomes easier. You'll begin to get a much more defined sense of the rhythm your fingers are actually executing. You'll be able to command your fingers much better, and you'll get a refined sense of the rhythm you actually can hear and what you're going to play. Let's get started on how to work on strong fingers. If you're looking at this normal 2-5 lick, when listening to it, it sounds pretty okay. It's just a normal lick. And I'm playing it with articulation. When I play it without tonguing or without articulation, legato, I hear the weaknesses I have in the timing of my fingers. The weakness I hear are the 2 jumps and the change of the key, the B flat minor. So what it comes down to is finger coordination. Basically moving your fingers in a tight rhythm. Let's try a little exercise getting this into your playing. Here's a 16 note 2-5-1 line. Try play it with articulation and phrasing. Now second time you play it, you do not play it with any articulation or any phrasing, you play it completely legato. Now you hear how your fingers are moving. One of the problems we have playing the saxophone is that our fingers are differently built. It's all individual fingers, they're different lengths, and they have to push different keys. The weakest fingers are your ring fingers and your pinks. They're the one you use the least. So I changed the exercise a little. Now try this without phrasing and articulation. To really develop a steady timing in your fingers, you must start listening to the timing, to what comes out when you are playing and to what kind of timing it is. Listen to how your fingers stay in the groove, how they click when the metronome hits. I just mentioned the metronome. Just use the metronome to measure this. Compare the rhythm of your fingers to the rhythm of your metronome and make it align. One disclaimer: when I play these exercises, I play it in a certain tempo. It doesn't matter. You should play these exercises in your own tempo. You must really find a tempo that fits you. When I turn to these 2 exercises again, when I've practiced them without articulation and without phrasing, and I play them with articulation and phrasing, the articulation and phrasing is much easier. And I feel a completely different control of the timing. And the line gets much more flexible to play. At a point in the Michael Brecker book, it says, press hard. Michael Brecker has written this down in a false fingering exercise. But when you look at it, you can apply this to all the exercise you play. So start by playing the exercise a bit slow. Now try to play it only using your fingers, so no sound. You hear the beat of your fingers on your instrument, and that you can compare to the timing of the music or the metronome you play with. And when you press your fingers hard, you find out that they get more precise. A fun little experiment is to alternate the 2 exercises. Play the exercise with sound, play it without sound. And as a bonus, try alternating the exercise with articulation. The thing to be really aware of is how do your fingers move in the beat and in the groove. No fingers must be in front or behind. When you want to dig into Brecker's epic approach to this timing, check out the lesson manual PDF on Patreon. All these exercises are directly linked into phrases you can play and use when you're bettering your timing. And it works perfectly with practicing the exercise in the 3 forms. Develop your super strong timing now. Get the PDF manual on Patreon. The link is in the description. Long time ago, I was at a David Liebman workshop and he was talking about that they have these loft sessions or attic sessions. And Michael Brecker was there, a lot of other musicians were there. Then one guy said to Michael Brecker, hey, you should practice your timing. Sometime later, Liebman saw Michael Brecker again and his timing was epic. He improved so much. His time was really like clockwork, a non-human thing almost. Obviously, Michael Brecker went home to practice practice his timing. And this is just to tell you that these exercises of Michael Brecker really works. Earlier I talked about my weaknesses in this phrase, the big jumps and the key change. Let's look into how this affects your time. Try playing thirds in the scale. Play it all legato with no tongue, no phrasing. The third is the first interval you should master. Play it with the metronome to check the timing. Now try to play the same exercise without sound, only fingers. And then you hear that you're moving more fingers, and that's kind of tricky. You have to keep the timing really tight. Let's make it into a bigger interval, playing the thirds down, moving the fourth up. Also do this exercise playing with only your fingers. And really listen to how your fingers connect on the saxophone. These fourth and thirds exercises forces your fingers to work together. And you know your fingers need to work together in all lines you play. Playing intervals actually means that you need to be more aware of your fingers. You need to press hard, because always when you're playing intervals, you're using multiple fingers. Of course, you do not want to only practice exercise. You want to get this timing into your playing. For example, play any line using bigger jumps. And as you see in this line, I do my best to add the bigger jumps. Because of the bigger jumps, or because of the line, you need to focus on your fingers, play with strong fingers. And because of these jumps, you move with great tone distance, and you use a lot of fingers at the same time. You even have an octave jump. Now try playing this line without articulation and without tonguing. Stay focused on strong fingers and see how it just runs through the fingers. And now the most difficult challenge is to play it with no sound. Try to see if your fingers can follow the music of the line. Make it sound right in your ears. About new keys. When you have to go into new keys in any lick, your fingers have to adjust to the new key, your brain have to adjust to the new key. This is extra challenging, and this means that you need to use more focus on your fingers. Try to play this line with no articulation and see how difficult it actually is. No articulation, those big jumps are really tough. Listen to your fingers and learn the timing. Also try the line only using fingers. Because when you move these chromatic steps, your fingers really get into a pickle and need to move super tight. You're welcome to take any part of the exercise and practice it alone. You see that I need to practice this E flat major triad at the end. To train different changes of the keys, you can do exercises like that, thirds up the scale, changing the key up to the E flat 7 and then going down to the D major again. Remember to use the three forms of the exercise. Play it with no articulation and no phrasing. And remember to play it only your fingers. What I do here is change the time. I play it slower when I'm using my fingers because it's difficult only to hear the fingers. It just gets pluck, 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 pluck. And it's very, very difficult to orient you where you are in the line. I think these timing exercises of Michael Brecker are the biggest discovery I have done when studying his playing. So I really recommend you to check out the lesson manual PDF, digging into these Michael Brecker timing exercises using the three different forms: articulated, no articulation, and only fingers. All the exercises are of course linked into phrases that you can use immediately and you can train immediately. Download the PDF on Patreon, the link is right here. Michael Brecker was and is still a huge inspiration to me. Check out this video where I'm digging into how he invented his lines. Play music, have fun.